The salt-sprayed cliffs met the iron-gray sky. For Detective Charlie Hudson, the air usually brought a sense of clarity, a reminder of the rugged honesty of his home. But today, the mist felt heavy, clinging to his wool coat like a premonition. Standing on the edge of a rain-slicked sidewalk, Charlie adjusted his jacket, his eyes scanning the perimeter. Beside him, Rex, his German Shepherd partner, sat with ears perked, a low vibration of alertness in his chest. Rex didn't need a badge to know when the world was out of balance. He could smell the adrenaline of a city on edge. Across the street, Dr. Sarah Truong was already at work. Her delicate frame was silhouetted against the harsh, rhythmic flashing of a patrol car's lights. She was a vision of absolute logic in a world of erratic chaos. Her dark hair was tucked neatly behind her ears as she peered through a camera lens, documenting a tragedy before the rain could wash away the truth. Charlie watched her for a moment longer than professional courtesy required. In the high-stakes, often grim world of the Major Crimes Unit, Sarah was his North Star, the only one who truly understood the weight he carried beneath the stoic exterior. Chapter 1. The Silent Artist and the Shadow of Wilkins Law. The case began with a scream that no one heard. Megan Schaefer, a rising star at the prestigious Wilkins Law, had vanished into the grey morning. She had been walking home to clear her head after a messy breakup with Jamie, a colleague whose temper was as well known as his ambition. The only witness was Brian, a 12-year-old boy trapped in a world of sensory overload. To the neighbors, he was the quiet boy. To his mother, Emma, he was a miracle who communicated through the precise, mechanical strokes of his colored pencils. "He's not talking, Charlie," Sarah said softly as they stood in the Johnson living room. The air was thick with the scent of lavender and the sharp, metallic tang of maternal panic. Emma Johnson held a crumpled drawing in her shaking hands, a sketch of a faceless man and a silver van. Charlie knelt beside Brian. The boy was hunched over a sketchbook, his hand moving with frantic precision. Rex approached with a slow, deliberate pace, his tail giving a single rhythmic thump against the hardwood floor. In that moment, a bridge was formed, one built of fur, silence, and mutual understanding. "Autism isn't a barrier to seeing," Sarah whispered, her hand resting briefly on Charlie's shoulder. The touch was electric, a brief spark of human warmth in a room filled with cold fear. "It's just a different way of processing the nightmare. Rex senses it. He knows Brian saw the truth." As the hours ticked by, the investigation spiraled into a labyrinth of white-collar greed. A ransom demand of $2 million arrived via an anonymous burner app, demanding unmarked bills. The suspect list was a minefield. There was Jamie, the jilted ex-lover with a history of inter-office drama, and Todd, the partner at the firm who seemed far too helpful. Charlie and Sarah spent the night in the lab, illuminated by the sterile, blue glow of computer monitors. Sarah's eyes were bloodshot with fatigue, but her resolve was unshakable. She had found something. Tiny shards of chromium in a secondary crime scene, a van associated with Jamie. "If we don't find her soon, Charlie, the statistics aren't in Kochung Ta," she said, her voice cracking slightly. Charlie stepped closer, the space between them narrowing until he could smell the faint scent of her jasmine tea. "We have Rex, and we have you. We're going to bring her home." The investigation revealed that the kidnapping was a smokescreen for a larger embezzlement scheme at Wilkins Law. Todd had been the architect, framing Jamie for the theft of escrow funds, before hiring a professional, Earl Blackburn, to eliminate the witnesses. The final rescue was a heart-pounding race through an abandoned machine shop in the Golds. When Megan was finally safe, Charlie caught Sarah's eye across the room. The relief was a shared language they were both beginning to speak fluently. Chapter 2. Blood on the Best Kind. The rescue of Megan Schaefer was a triumph, but in Street John's, peace was always a fleeting guest. The North Atlantic had a way of claiming lives, and Jacob Kaufman, a tech mogul with the personality of a shark, was its latest victim. The Best Kind was a luxury yacht that looked like a palace on the water, but to Sarah, it was a floating tomb. Kaufman had been found pinned to his own deck by a spear gun. "It's overkill," Sarah noted, crouching over the body as the boat swayed gently in the harbor. The angle of penetration, the seawater bacteria on the spear, this wasn't just a crime of opportunity. It was a performance. The investigation took them into the lives of the elite and the desperate. There was Michel Soroko, the hardened captain who had fought pirates in the Red Sea. Veronica Goodwin, the tech expert who knew that Kaufman's waterfront AI was nothing more than a scam using cheap labor from abroad. And Blaine, the deckhand with a criminal record, who had been the victim of Kaufman's relentless bullying. During a stakeout on the docks, Charlie and Sarah sat in the dark interior of his SUV. The rain drummed a relentless, hypnotic rhythm on the roof. "Do you ever think about it?" Sarah asked suddenly, looking out at the black, churning water, getting away from the autopsies and the crime scenes. "Just a boat, a compass, and silence." Charlie looked at her profile. The way the dashboard lights highlighted the curve of her jaw and the intelligence in her eyes. "I used to, before I came back to Street John's. Now, I think I've found where I'm supposed to be. With you," he thought, the words a heavy secret in his heart. The mystery of Kaufman's death was solved not through high-tech surveillance, but through the scent of a wristwatch. A gold 1966 reproduction that Kaufman never took off. It contained a 64-digit hexadecimal crypto key to hundreds of millions of dollars. Veronica Goodwin had manipulated the deckhand and the software developer, James Endicott, into a murderous plot, only to kill them when they became liabilities. In a final, tense confrontation on the yacht, Sarah proved she was more than just a scientist. She assisted in the takedown of an armed Veronica, her movements precise and fearless. As the sun rose over the harbor, painting the waves in shades of bruised purple and gold, Charlie found Sarah leaning against the railing. He stood close enough that their arms brushed, a silent promise of solidarity. Chapter 3. The Secret Botanical and the Mother's Ruin. The scent of juniper and pine should have been pleasant, but at the Devereux distillery, it was the scent of a legacy in decay. Willem Devereux, the patriarch of a gin empire, had been found headfirst in a distillation vat. "It's a bitter irony," Sarah remarked, her voice echoing in the vast, copper-lined room, drowning in the very spirit that made him a legend. The Devereux family was a wasp's nest of sibling rivalry. Jaden, the CFO, was secretly negotiating a sale to a Japanese conglomerate. Alan, the eldest, was a man crushed by his father's expectations. And Melanie, the estranged daughter, was a marketing genius who had been shut out of the family business. The case turned on a singular, mysterious note, a secret botanical that only Rex's nose could isolate. As they spent hours in the lab putting Rex to the test, the atmosphere between Charlie and Sarah shifted. It was no longer just about the work. It was about the shared glances over beakers, the way Sarah's hand brushed his when she reached for a sample, and the quiet intensity of their shared goal. "You have a good nose, Rex," Sarah teased, scratching the dog behind the ears as he identified the secret ingredient, Labrador tea. "But Charlie, you have a good heart." Charlie felt his pulse quicken. "I'm just following your lead, Sarah. You're the one who saw the toxicity in the blend." The investigation revealed a darker truth. Willem hadn't died of an accident. He had been poisoned with tetrazoline eye drops placed in his gin by Melanie. She had discovered that her father was planning to leave everything to her after all, but her resentment had already crossed the point of no return. That night, after the arrest, they sat in Charlie's trailer. The fireplace crackled, and the sounds of Jesse's guitar echoed through the walls. Sarah looked at Charlie, her expression soft and vulnerable. "We see the worst of humanity every day," she said quietly. "Families destroying themselves for a recipe. How do you keep believing in the best?" Charlie reached out, his fingers finally finding hers and holding on. "Because I see people like you, Sarah, every day. You're the reason I keep looking for the light." Chapter 4. The Heart of the Woods and the Final Stand. The final test came in the rugged, unforgiving wilderness of Cape Royal. What began as a hunt for a witness against the Craner crime family turned into a desperate battle for survival. The Craners were the poison of Street Johns, a family of drug runners who operated with a brutal, old-school code of silence. When Tyler Craner killed a man over a botched blackmail attempt, the only witness was Wyatt Donner, a simple hiker who had seen too much. Charlie, Sarah, Jesse, and Rex tracked Wyatt into the deep woods, unaware that they were being hunted by Serena Rickett.